Hi everyone, I'm Andrei. Earlier this year I made an iOS application with DSP written in Faust and the UI made with Flutter framework and accordingly Dart language. And I want to share my experience with you. Also, I've made a template project and shared it on GitHub. So my experience is easily reproducible by anyone here. Why did I do it? Because I wanted things that weren't accessible with existing Faust architectures, or at least I didn't know how to achieve them. I wanted a fully customizable UI, I wanted to use custom component libraries, and on top of that I didn't want to write any C++ code, because if I wanted to, I wouldn't even learn Faust. And of course I wanted my application to be cross-platform. At first stages I wanted to target PC and Mac. At later stages I decided to go mobile. And to be able to perform such pivots, you have to choose framework wisely, because otherwise it will limit flexibility of the development of your ideas. The closest I could get using existing architectures was either using Qt or GTK, because both of them are cross-platform. Both of them have a huge library of components, most of which are open source. But both of them use C++ as their language, even though they have bindings for Python or more, let's say, dilettante-friendly languages. Their tooling made with C++ in mind. Moreover, Qt is indeed expensive for non-open source projects. And I, at that moment, didn't know for sure if I wanted to go open source. Let me first show you how you can create your own Faust and Flutter applications using my template that I've shared on the GitHub. Then I'll show you how it's done, what's inside, and perform a quick overview of Flutter infrastructure and its possibilities. And then I'll show you a demo of production applications you can find in App Store. This is the template repository I created. You can create your own copy by clicking Use this template button. Basically, it creates a fork which you can then clone onto your local machine. Doing all this, I assume that you already have a Faust SDK, Flutter SDK, and Xcode installed, because otherwise things just won't work. The best thing about Flutter is that it comes with a huge load of tooling, of infrastructure. So let's open a recently cloned project in your IDE of choice. For the purposes of the demo, I will run all the code using iPhone simulator, but just as well you can run it using real physical devices. Let's build the DSP layer. We do it with Faust to API architecture. It will create a C++ API for us that will be used by Flutter code using Dart C++ interoperability. Will be to run the Flutter application. I suppose it will run on the iPhone simulator now. Yes. It takes about 2 minutes to build on my pretty old MacBook. And we have a fully working application. Unfortunately, all it can do for now is this, but we can fix it easily. Let's add the volume controller, just as a showcase of how easy it can be done. What we just did is we created a slider taking possible values from 0 to 1. It has a default value of 1 and on update it calls method setGain that first of all updates the state of the UI component, and after that it calls setParamValue method of DSP API. And here comes the DSP API. This is the layer written in Flutter and Dart that allows Flutter applications to interoperate with Faust code. One more thing worth mentioning about Flutter is that it supports hot reload, which means that once you change anything in your UI code, you don't have to rebuild the application. You just switch here, and assuming that you are running from IDE, running the application from your development environment, the hot reloading is performed automatically. If you do this from command line, you have to manually press R after the change and you get it. Unfortunately, our newly created slider doesn't do anything so far, and moreover crashes the application. Well, it's not really surprising, taking into account that we are trying to change the parameter, DSP parameter in Faust, number 1. That is not created yet. Let's go to DSP code and add this parameter. Unfortunately, hot reloading doesn't work with Faust code, so we'll have to rebuild it. And then rebuild the whole application. And here we go. At this point, Faust Flutter template repository and code there supports everything that Faust 2 API supports. So you can call every method of Faust API generated by Faust 2 API. So you can imagine how far you can get using it. Especially taking into account crazy amount of widgets and low-level possibilities that Flutter offers. Starting from various drawing possibilities and lots of widgets, interaction styles like making gestures, draggable components, and so on and so on. Flutter has just wonderful documentation, one of the best documentations I have ever seen in my life. Every class, every property, every component, everything is documented decently, say at least. And I would like to showcase you an application I've created using it. So here we go. Essentially, it is a synthesizer, polyphonic, and with built-in arpeggiator. This is how it looks. You can play and record a pattern within a given scale, in a given tempo. Then you can put another layer on top of it. I didn't promise you will be happy to hear it. But here it is, it works, and it demonstrates how complex and how custom you can make things using Flutter, and that it can work with Faust. It can communicate both ways. It can operate both ways. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed.